Hello everyone, I'm Amal Rich, Assistant Professor, Department of Computer Science, St.Josephs College of Arts and Science for Women, Hosur. In this video, I'm going to share about exception handling in C++. One of the most important advantage of C++ over C is exception handling. Exceptions are runtime anomalies that a program encounters during its execution. The two most common types of errors are logic errors and syntactic errors. The logic errors occur due to poor understanding of the problem. The syntactic errors occur due to poor understanding of the language. We can detect these errors by using debugging and testing procedures. We often come across some peculiar problems other than logic or syntax errors. They are known as exceptions. Exceptions are runtime anomalies or unusual conditions, such as division by zero, array index out of bound, or running out of memory. When a program encounters an exceptional condition, it is important to identify and deal effectively with exception. There are two types of exceptions. One is synchronous and the second one is asynchronous. The errors such as array index out of bound or overflow or comes under synchronous type of exceptions. The errors that are caused by events beyond the control of the program, such as keyboard interrupts, or belongs to asynchronous exceptions. The purpose of the exception handling mechanism is to detect and report an error so that correct action can be taken. The exception handling code that performs the following tasks: find the problem, that is, hit the exception. Second one is inform that an error has occurred, that is, throwing the exception. Third one, receive the error information, that is, catching the exception. And the fourth one is take corrective actions, that is, handle the exception. Exception handling mechanism. Exception handling mechanism in C++ consists of three keywords. One is try, and the second one is throw, and the third one is catch. The try statement allows you to define a block of code to be tested for errors while it is being executed. The throw keyword throws an exception when a problem is detected. The third one, the catch statement, allow you to define a block of code to be executed if an error occurs in try block. These try and catch keywords come in pairs. And this is the structure of exception handling mechanism. In this structure, this try block contains the block of code to be tested for errors, and throw is throwing an exception when the problem arises, and catch is the block of code to handle the errors. Throwing exceptions. Exceptions can be thrown anywhere within a code block using throw statement. This is the example for throwing an exception. Here we are creating a function called division with two parameters a and b. In this function, we are going to check whether the value of b is equal to 0 or not. If it is 0 means it's throw the exception division by 0 condition. Otherwise, it returns a divided by b. Catching exceptions. The catch block following the try block catches any exception. You can specify what type of exception you want to catch, and this is determined by the exception declaration that appears in parentheses following the keyword catch. Here, try block contain the codes to be tested, and the catch block having the exception name with the object name and the code to handle that exception. Multiple catch statements. C++ allow us to provide multiple catch blocks to handle different types of exceptions. This is the syntax for defining multiple catch blocks in C++. Here, try block contains the codes to be tested, and how many catch blocks we want for our program, we can specify the catch blocks. In multiple catch statements, we have to know some of the important things. That is, there is only one try block in which multiple exceptions are thrown, and depending on the type of exception thrown, a particular catch block is executed. Whenever an exception is thrown, the catch blocks are searched in a sequential order for an appropriate match. Once the catch block whose data type matches with the type of the exception is executed, the other catch blocks are skipped. Once the execution of the appropriate catch block get over, the control passes to the statement immediately followed by the last catch block. If an appropriate match is not found, the program terminates abnormally. Here is an example program for multiple catch statements. In this example, we are creating a function called test with one argument x. In the try block, we are going to check the value of x. If the value of x is equal to 1 means it's throw the value x. If the value of x is equal to minus 1 means, that is negative value means, it throws float value. If the value of x is equal to 0 means, it throws character value. Here we are creating three catch blocks for the exceptions comes from the try block. So the first catch block is handle the errors comes in integer value. The second part is handling the errors comes in the float value, and the third block is handling the errors comes in the character value. In the main block, we are calling the function test. So the first statement is test of 1. So we are passing the value integer value to the function test. So if the value of x is equal to 1 means, it automatically throw the exception integer. So it gives the output as caught an integer. The next statement is test of minus 1. If the value of x is equal to minus 1 means, it throw the exception float. So it automatically calls the second catch. So it display the output as caught a float. And the third statement is test of 0. If the value of x is equal to 0 means, it throw the exception character. So the third catch will get executed and print the result as caught a character. So once these three statements are executed, it gives the output as caught an integer, caught a float, caught a character. Catching all exceptions. Sometimes it is not possible to predict all types of exceptions that can occur during the program execution, and hence separate catch blocks cannot be provided to handle all the exceptions. In such cases, a single catch block to handle multiple exceptions can be defined. This can be achieved by the ellipses as the arguments in the catch block. The syntax for defining multiple catches is catch with ellipses and statements to handle all exceptions. Here is an example program for catching all exceptions. The same program what we have seen in multiple catch statements. So the same test function which is having a try block and catch block. In the try block we are going to test the value of x. If the value of x is equal to 1 means it throw integer. If the value of x is equal to negative means it throw float. If the value of x is equal to 0 means it throw character. So in the previous program we have created three catch statements. One is for integer, one is for float, and one is for character. But in this program we are creating only one catch with ellipsis. So in this we are going to print the output as caught an error. In the main function we are going to call the test function with the value 1. So if the value is 1 means, it automatically tests the value x is equal to 1. Then throw x. So it got integer error. So it automatically goes to catch function and it prints the value as caught an error. And the control again comes to the main block. test of -1. Now the control moves to test block, and if the value of x is equal to -1 means it throw float. So again it call the catch block. In the catch block it print the value as caught an error, and the control moves to main function. In the main function the last statement is test of 0. Again it calls the function test. In this x is equal to 0 means it throw character. So again it catch the output as caught an error. Once the three statements of the main block is gets executed, it prints the value caught an error 3 times into the console. And now we are going to see about the standard exceptions available in C++. C++ has provided us with a number of standard exceptions that we can use in our exception handling. Some of them are listed here, that are exception, bad alert, bad cast, bad exception, logic failure, runtime error, out of range, overflow error, range error, underflow error, length error, domain error, and invalid argument. These exceptions are defined in the exception header file. Now it's time for a small assessment on the topic exception handling in C++. Go through these MCQs and post your answers in the comments. Thank you all.